On August 24, 2025, police arrived at a car park in Tottenham, North London, to find the body of 39-year-old Sheryl Wilkins. The violence of the crime was extreme. A later post-mortem examination would catalog 83 separate marks of trauma across her head and upper body. Investigators soon realized the man responsible was not a stranger. He lived nearby, he was already on bail for previous crimes, and he was supposed to be under active police monitoring. A discovery of Sheryl Wilkins immediately focused attention on the agencies tasked with watching her killer. At the time of the attack, he was a registered offender supposed to be under the most rigorous supervision the state can provide. That man was Simon Levy, a 40-year-old Londoner, blind in one eye, who hid a psychological fixation on sexual violence behind an unassuming appearance. His history of violence against women was well documented. Since 2018, he carried out persistent sexual assaults against women using London's transit network. By 2021, those attacks led to a conviction and jail time. It also resulted in his placement on the National Sex Offender Register. That designation carries very specific legal weight. It requires authorities to track an offender's movements, evaluate their threat level, and intervene the moment they appear to pose a risk to the public. In January 2025, while on the register, Levy targeted a 35-year-old woman in a Tottenham car park. He raped her, broke her collarbone, and suffocated her until she lost consciousness. The woman survived. She gave police a detailed description of her attacker and even pointed out the specific area where he lived. Despite this evidence, the victim later testified that officers spoke to her like a child. The police then waited months before taking a formal, actionable statement from her. Failing to act on a survivor's intelligence leaves the predator at large. By delaying the investigation, the authorities allowed Levy to remain in the community with the knowledge that he was not being actively pursued. 2 months later, on March 16th, Levy was caught on CCTV meeting 53-year-old Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo. Her body was discovered the following day, lying face down in a stairwell at Wendover House in South London. Police arrested Levy for the murder in April. However, they soon released him under investigation, citing a lack of sufficient evidence to charge him at that time. The failure to secure him continued in the courts. The Crown Prosecution Service bungled 3 separate hearings, failing to provide the specific details required for a judge to remand him in custody. This use of the release under investigation loophole meant a registered sex offender and murder suspect was permitted to walk back into the community. It was a failure of risk management that left the public vulnerable. During this same period, the state's internal monitoring of Levy was actually weakening. In August 2024, the Metropolitan Police downgraded his risk assessment from high to medium. Simultaneously, the British Transport Police were experiencing their own delays, failing to bring charges for a separate string of assaults Levy had committed on trains. Because of these intersecting blind spots, Levy was able to live in Tottenham entirely unhindered by the agencies that were supposed to be watching him. These failures show how a predator can disappear into the gaps between agencies. When one department downgrades a threat while another delays a prosecution, the resulting lack of communication creates a space where a violent offender can remain on the streets. By August 2025, Levy was back at the same Tottenham car park where he had attacked the woman in January. This is where he murdered Sheryl Wilkins. The crime occurred in the same location where he had already been identified as a rapist months earlier. His final arrest came in September. This time, DNA evidence and CCTV definitively linked him to both murders and the initial rape in January. The pattern of Levy's crimes suggests that this final outcome was the result of the previous 8 months. Each time a known predator was caught and released back into the same neighborhood, the danger to the community grew. On August 12, 2026, the sentencing hearing began at the Old Bailey. The court heard from those Levy had harmed. A daughter spoke of the emptiness left by her mother's death. A sister hoped the killer would rot, and the survivor of the January attack described him as a monster who had stolen her soul. The Levy case shares troubling parallels with other recent high-profile failures, including those that allowed Wayne Couzens and David Carrick to target women despite multiple warnings. These cases collectively point toward a crisis in how violence against women is managed, revealing a history of institutional indifference that persists across multiple police forces. Judge Mark Lucraft, KC, handed down a whole life order, meaning Levy will die in prison. Met Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley characterized the case as a whole system failing. Mayor Sadiq Khan has since called for a multi-agency review to address the series of missed opportunities that left Levy free to kill. Internal investigations are currently ongoing into the conduct of the individual officers, whose systemic errors allowed the attacks to continue. While Simon Levy will never be released, the resolution came far too late for his victims. The system has permanently removed the predator, but the failures that enabled him remain a significant threat to public safety.